Greetings travelers, and welcome to Azeroth, and another installment of our adventure through the World of Warcraft, looking for all of its hidden secrets and environmental Easter eggs. Today we're headed north, to the magical timberland of the Eversong Woods that introduced players to the Blood Elves. This area holds a lot of history in the Warcraft franchise, and there are many hidden nuggets of lore and secrets dotted throughout the landscape. So let's take a look at the Eversong Woods' secrets and Easter eggs. But before we get started, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more in the future. And if you never want to miss an upload, ring the bell. Seriously, doing so is the single best way to help this channel grow, and it lets me know what sort of content you want more of in the future. I'm also releasing bite-sized bits of content over on other platforms, so check out my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok pages if that's your thing. As always, let's begin where new players start their adventures. The Sunstrider Isle. Within the Sunspire, here on your map, near the back of the main amphitheater, you will find the rogue trainer Pathstalker Evokar, who replaced the previous rogue trainer Pathstalker Cariel during the Shadowlands expansion. Though there is nothing notable about this character as it exists currently in-game, Cariel is named after a character created by disgraced former Blizzard employee Alex Afrasiabi. Afrasiabi was once the leader of a famous EverQuest guild, Fires of Heaven, and he was hired as a quest designer on World of Warcraft along other EverQuest veterans like Jeff Kaplan. Afrasiabi left Blizzard in 2020 amid numerous allegations of sexual harassment from other employees, though his characters like Cariel remained until Afrasiabi's actions came under more scrutiny in the summer of 2021, when they were replaced with characters like Evokar. To the northwest of where new players spawn in, here on your map, all the way at the banks of the island, you will find two Blood Elf children named Jane and Nova playing with their pet cat named Kitty. That's adorable. While their father, Jessel, sleeps on the shore. Occasionally, Jessel will awaken from his slumber and speak of Azure Mist, Blood Mist, Zangarmarsh, Shadow Moon, and Zolaman, though he is unsure if they are dreams or memories. All of these are names of areas that players would explore during the Burning Crusade expansion. Interestingly, occasionally another cat named Manny will spawn and follow Jane, before eventually leaving and despawning. This is the sort of out-of-the-way secret that feels like it's referencing something specific, but I can't put my finger on it. It's possible that Nova is named after the StarCraft character of the same name, and I've seen speculation that Jane and Nova together are references to the Final Fantasy VII character Jenova, but that one seems like a bit of a stretch to me. Either way, this little family does add a lot of world building. Jessel is clearly suffering from PTSD and sleeps all day. His daughter even points that out. It's sad, and the sort of small story that I love in this game. To the west of the Sunspire, here on your map, under a large twisting tree you will find a small area with two benches, a chair, and a small table. It's decorated with a floating potted shrub with several flowers. Though a small vignette like this isn't unique to this area, it does go far to show just how different the Blood Elf culture was from others on Azeroth. They consider anywhere and everywhere in these woods a place to relax. They control the nature here completely, mastering it with their arcane and fell energies. And that does it for Sunstrider Isle. Though the environmental designers were very thorough in filling out areas that players are sent to during this starting quest, they didn't really hide a ton of stuff in this little subsection of the map, and believe me, I looked all around the islands, even in the back areas where you're not supposed to go. To the southeast of Sunstrider Isle, here on your map, you will find a small pavilion furnished with nice stone tables out back. In front of the pavilion stands Kellerun Bloodmorn, a Blood Knight master who offers Blood Elf paladins one of their trials during their starting quests. This area was designed for that quest, and if you weren't a paladin, you may walk right on past it and never even know it was here. Interestingly, Master Bloodmorn seems to be holding an Argent Avenger, a sword that many in the World of Warcraft community have lovingly dubbed a lightsaber for obvious reasons. I find it more likely than not that Bloodmorn's position as a master training a new knight is a reference to the Jedi Order of the Star Wars franchise, however small that reference may be. A bit further southeast you will find the ruins of Silvermoon, destroyed during the Third War and the invasion of the Scourge. There are a ton of awesome small details packed into this area, including tables still set with drinks from before the war, the remains of what looks to be a small pleasure palace, and the giant statue of a woman named the Huntress of the Sun. Around here, on your map, just outside of the Commons Hall, you will find the remains of what looks like a small outdoor lecture hall. 3 benches are set up facing a floating podium, flanked by 2 magical blue candles. Several books and ruined vases are spread around the ground, really giving the impression that whatever class was being taught here had to be abandoned mid-lecture. It's just a really rad small touch. Another very, very small touch can be found here on your map. On Skulking Row, in the middle of this path, you'll find an old sack of grain spilled open upon the road. The environmental designers actually altered the color of the texture of the street to make it look like the grain has spilled out of this sack. Someone was very proud of this little touch. I guarantee no one noticed. Like I said, it was a small detail, but I wanted to point it out here. Good job, guys. At Falconwing Square, here on your map, in the building where all of the martial class and weapon trainers have gathered, take a look over Farsil, the armor and shield merchant. Beside him, in his stack of supplies, you will see a large claymore with a shield propped up against it, a shield bearing the insignia of the Lion of Stormwind. If we're being honest, this was likely something that was just overlooked by a designer. They needed a shield asset put next to the shield merchant, and this is the one that looked the best. But I love how it does still work with the lore. The Blood Elves were once proud members of the Alliance. Of course, they'd still have some of their equipment laying around. Also, side note, I adore that the rogue trainer is sort of away from all of the others, up the stairs next to this comfortable looking bed. Gives her kind of a badass femme fatale vibe. It's dope. In a building close to the North Sanctum, here on your map, you'll find the bag vendor Solanan and his sister Solana. Though the pair never actually interact, if you wait around long enough, Solanan will begin moving around the area to a nearby cart, dropping off items in the back of it. He will also occasionally say, "Ugh, every time I load something into the wagon it reappears here within moments." And, "I should have known better than to have given Solana that tome of cantrips." This is a neat little lampshading of the fact that oftentimes these World of Warcraft NPCs will do the same thing over and over and over, just to follow their programming. What a sad life. Players can find another cute interaction at Fairbreeze Village, here on your map, where the general goods vendor Hallis Dawnstrider will occasionally attempt to get the attention of nearby quest giver Magistrix Landra Dawnstrider, sighing after failing to do so. Given that they share a last name, they may be related in some way, perhaps either siblings or spouses. It's cute, it's funny. Please add more character stuff like this, it's awesome. Nearby, in another building in Fairbreeze, here on your map, you will find the Dragonhawk pet vendor Jillan. Her dwelling is complete with what appears to be a palantir next to her desk. It's not unique to this building, just a cool detail, and several Dragonhawk eggs between her bed and the lounging area. Little rooms like this packed with detail are why I love World of Warcraft's environmental designers. Like, they didn't have to add the eggs, it's just a nice touch. Speaking of, before we leave Fairbreeze, I recommend we take a peek at the top room in the inn here on your map, where visitors are intended to sleep. Nothing up here is unique to Fairbreeze, but the environmental designers went above and beyond to show the absolute opulence the Blood Elves find standard enough to be in a small inn on the way to their capital city. There's just so much packed in here, a full feast set on the table. Several couches on bear pelts, a freaking statue, even a baby dragonhawk that flies through occasionally. It's just so cool. On the outskirts of Fairbreeze Village, you will find a small camp defended by rangers of Silvermoon that fight back against the constant onslaught of Scourge soldiers. It appears that the defenses here were hastily built, as an axe is still embedded in the stump of one of the trees cut down, probably to make the wooden stakes. Honestly, I just wanted to mention this for completionist's sake. The fighting between the NPCs here may be easily missed by players who are just questing through the area. To the west of Fairbreeze Village, you will find Southaril's Haven, home of the Blood Elven Lord Southaril. He lives his life in similar luxury, perpetually throwing parties and asking adventurers to gather supplies so the festivities may continue, ignoring the devastation elsewhere in Eversong. Take a look around the party while you're here. Though the partygoers are rude, there are many trainers willing to trade their knowledge for coin, and watching the partygoers dance and laugh among the hors d'oeuvres is amusing. One has even enjoyed themselves so much that they've passed out. Also, Southaril's silver-colored courtyard is shaped like a crescent moon. One could say it's a silver moon, badum-tish. Even further west, here on your map, you will find the small port of Sunsail Anchorage, overtaken by corrupted wretches. Though there isn't a ton to see here, there are a couple of neat little details. First of all, there's a massive anchor outside the port's main building, several meters onto land. I doubt this thing is getting back into the water, maybe ever, but perhaps it was retired and is now used exclusively for aesthetic purposes. Near the shore at the edge of the anchorage, you'll find 2 rowboats, presumably used by Captain Kelisindra and her crew when they abandoned ship to avoid the wretched. Out in the water, you will find the wreckage of 2 large ships, and a smaller rowboat under the waves. Interestingly, the wreckage in the water appears to be older High Elven or perhaps even Night Elven boats, while the only remaining ship, that of the nearby Captain Kelisindra, is a more modernized Blood Elven design. Just to be clear, I think this was done purely because the environmental designers already had the sunken High/Night Elven ship design left over from vanilla and didn't have the time or feel the need to make a brand new asset when these serve their purpose just fine. Also, out in the water, there's just a random shell hanging out on the seafloor. Absolutely not exclusive to here, but not something you typically see in early World of Warcraft seabeds. So, neat. Even further west, on the western coast of Eversong, you'll find the Golden Strand, here on your map. The area is covered with Murloc camps, and as always, such camps are covered in cool details. You know the shtick by now, nothing here is necessarily unique, but these do tell a great story of these creatures finding and collecting objects of the ocean over years and years and years. Weapons and barrels and a giant glowing pearl. Additionally, patrolling this area, you'll find a large Murloc with a trident named Murgle. He's not rare or anything. In fact, if you're thorough in your questing, you'll be sent to kill him. But I did want to point him out because his name is a funny anglicization of the cry Murlocs make when alerted to an enemy's presence, and they actually got me to say it out loud in a script. South of the Sunsail anchorage, just north of the Scorched Grove, here on your map, you'll find a tower within the Golden Bow Pass. Within is a woman named Liriana Riverwind, whose quest text mentions that not many people make their way out here, perhaps a meta reference to the fact that some people wouldn't even realize that there's a quest out here. What I want to focus on, however, is Riverwinds Tower. It's absolutely decked out with weapons, shields, scrolls planning for battles. It's just so much. This woman was prepped for war, and you have to respect it. Heading back northwest, right outside the gates of Silvermoon, here on your map, you will find a pair of statues. The figures that they depict are themselves not unique, but if you look in the inscriptions at their base, you will find that they read Arcanist Maisie the Storm Summoner and Magistrix Monica the Sun Gazer. These do not refer to any characters that I could find in the lore, and given their rather normal sounding names, I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that these were named after real people. Perhaps the partners, children, or parents of developers who worked on the Burning Crusade. I have no evidence of that, it's just a feeling I have. Nearby, underneath the bridge leading into Silvermoon, you'll find a drunken artist named Jeromy wandering around, occasionally collapsing and falling asleep. If you talk to him, he will ask you if you would like to hear some of his rhymes, which are mediocre at best, if we're being honest. He is also labeled as Marisro's minion. Jeromy is a reference to former Blizzard artist Jeremy Graves, who worked for the company between 2005 and 2009. He was a dungeon and city artist working directly under Brian Marisro, the lead interior artist who left the company in 2008 and now works for Riot Games. Jeromy's quirks are borrowed from Graves' personality, the rhyming sourced from Graves' knack for rapping at karaoke or freestyling over beats made popular by artists such as Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Eminem. South of Silvermoon City, here on your map, you will find the Hunting Lodge Farstrider Retreat. This is full of everything a ranger would ever need. Places for target practice, trophies of past hunts, tables of food to relax at, and guns pointed outward in case the nearby Amani trolls attempt an attack. However, what we want to really look at is here, with the bowyer Palarin, who has a very vocal distaste for trolls, going as far as to say the only good troll is a dead troll. He takes this very seriously, even refusing his services if any Darkspear troll adventurers wander out this way. Talk about dedication to your racism. Cutting through the middle of the zone all along here on your map, you'll find one of Eversong's most distinctive areas, the Dead Scar, a place where literally everything has died. The grass, the trees, the shrubs, the land itself. This is the line where the Scourge cut through Quel'Tha the Lost towards Silvermoon City during the events of Warcraft 3, and there are a ton of cool Easter eggs hidden here. For For one thing, several Scourge siege weapons can be found ruined along the path, along with carts carrying crates and cages, and one, here on your map, that appears to have crashed into a shrub. A detail I like is that several of these wreckages can be found in the river, which would have been a natural place for several elves to make a significant stand. About halfway down the path, around here on your map, you'll find another siege weapon crushed under a fallen tree. To its side, you will see a giant skull-headed spear, flying a banner that is softly billowing in the wind. It's the heraldry of the Lich King. Additionally, just take a look at the ground as you walk over it. Thousands and thousands of skulls and skeletons are buried here in the dirt, the remains of the heroic fallen elves defending their homeland. To the southeast, in this area of your map, patrolling the roads that lead through the Amani settlements, Torwatha and Zebwatha, you may find the rare spawn Tregla, a massive troll with an enormous axe. He looks absolutely gnarly, with 2 skulls mounted on his pauldrons. Still, he's a menace, and he may carry some rare loot, so he's gotta go. Sorry, pal. Sadly, he's also about the only interesting thing you can find here in these Amani-controlled areas of Eversong, and believe me, I looked. Heading north to the Dusk Wither grounds, here on your map, you will find the quest giver Groundskeeper Willithin, who asks adventurers to help clear the grounds of the Mana Serpents and Ether Fiends. The red-headed, overalls-wearing groundskeeper also appears to be a reference to Groundkeeper Willie from The Simpsons, so that's a fun reference. Additionally, nearby in a field of flowers, you may come across the rare spawn Eldarcus, a large mana wraith. South of the Dusk Wither grounds, here on your map, you'll find a small inlet of water. If you submerge yourself here and explore this small inlet, you'll find an aquatic ecosystem chock full of schools of fish, clams, anemones, starfish along the rock walls. You may even find a sunken chest. While details like this are quite common today in underwater parts of the map, this was rarely put in early eras of World of Warcraft. Just a short ways away from Eversong Woods, you can actually find what might be the oldest secret within World of Warcraft. It's an area that's even labeled as Quel'Thalas, and it houses ancient elven ruins. Even getting here can be a challenge, so if you'd like to learn more about that, check out my video talking about World of Warcraft's oldest secret. Please remember to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more. You can also ring the bell so you know exactly when videos go up, and to help YouTube show these videos to others who might be interested. Seriously, that's the single best way to help the channel. Also, if you want some shorter form content, go check out my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok pages. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.